Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm gonna do the task 2 out of the 9626 paper 4 advanced practical October and November. The task 2 will involve, let me see, I think editing a photo. Yeah, okay, editing a photo here. So I want to make sure that the file is there, the folder, the bay file is here. So I'm gonna put this into the software. The software that I'm using is called GIMP or GIMP. This is a free software that you can get online. You don't have to pay for it. It's free, like I said, and it works like a Photoshop. If you have Photoshop, you can go along with it. But in this video, I'm going to show you on how to do it on GIMP. And it's free because like not everyone can buy the software. Probably it's too expensive or so, or your school doesn't have one, or the school have one, but you don't have it at home to practice yourself on how to do things. Although it's going to be confusing if you're using a different software from the ones that you have it in school. But in this case, I'm going to base it on GIMP. Okay, let's get on with it. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is to remove the figure and repair the C. So in this case, as shown as in the example here, they remove the person in the middle of the picture and also the reflection of the sun, okay, in the middle here, and also some of the glittering color on the bottom here, this middle section and the small area in the bottom. So the first thing that we're gonna do is to choose the tools. There's plenty of ways in doing this, but the easiest one for me would be choosing what we call a clone tool. I think it would be different, and maybe it's the same name in Photoshop, but in this case I'm gonna use clone tool. Clone tool works it's basically cloning the other areas of the photo. You select the other areas of the photo and re-clone that area into the selection or the areas that you want to brush it on. So in this case, we want to keep the ripple effect like so, like in the question here, and then we want to make it the same. So it's as if like the middle section is going around and then going to keep the ripple effect the same. Okay, so let's zoom out a bit just to see. Okay, we're gonna start from this section, this middle section. So we want to make sure that the effect stays the same. Or let's go with the smaller bits here just to explain how the clone tool works. So after selecting the clone tool, I want to press Control so that it indicates the start of the cloning process. And then clicking and dragging through it will make sure that it clones starting from that area that I just selected previously. So you see that the right circle is moving along, or the same movement that I'm doing with the main focus or the main cursor here. But the weakness of this is that as I move, it also moves to the next area, in which it could have some of the other objects standing by there. So if you move it too much, like I'm going to show you an example here when you move it too much. So I'm going to start here, which is good. But if I keep moving it, it's going to cross over to the part where I haven't removed anything. So instead of erasing it, I'm adding that area of where the clone started and place it in the areas that the next area that the cursor is supposed to be. So we're gonna do it slow. In this video, I'm not gonna show you the perfect result because I'm just gonna show you on how you could actually do this. Different approach. There's plenty of different approach. Like I said, it's up to you. It's how you're comfortable doing it, how fast you can do it with the software that you have. But in this case, you want to make sure that it's clean and fancy. Okay, again, if I miss out on some details of the editing, please bear with me because I'm just doing this as fast as I can just to show you on how you can approach this this question. Yeah. So I'm gonna keep moving the clone starting point so that I don't hit this part, because this part I think I'm gonna take it from this area instead. Okay. We want to make sure that it's as clean as possible. So anything that is still reflecting things on the water here, we want to make sure that it's gone. Okay. If you feel that the size of the brush is too small, you can always change it here on the left side. So now it has a bigger area to cover, and then you can do it faster if you're confident enough to do so. Now we get that gone. Voila. Like it. Okay. There are still some areas that if you haven't satisfied yet, you can always refine them. But for now, I'm just going to do it fast. And that's how you make the middle person gone. Let's move on to the next steps. We want to separate the sky from the bottom part here. Okay, we want to remove the sky from the bottom here and then recolor the image as grayscale from the bottom part. Now there's plenty ways of doing this, but I'm going to show you one way you could do it fast, which is using a fuzzy tool, or in Photoshop it's called a wand tool. How it works is that it selects a similar pixel values on the picture and selecting it all at once. Now the weakness of it is that if you have a pixel that has a close enough value to each other, it will also select that. But you can always do that and then remove them later. So I'm gonna keep selecting the areas that I want, and then I'll probably remove later. And the other weakness is that if it's close enough, then it's gonna keep selecting it. So in this case, if you can see, I want to select the middle or the in-between branch here, because I think in the picture, see, they don't have it. They lose this branch right here. See, there's no longer here. Either that or I cannot see beyond the pixelated image. So I'm just gonna assume that the branch shouldn't exist here. So I'm just gonna keep selecting those. Adding the selection is when you use the fuzzy tool, you can always press shift so that there's a plus icon there on the top of your cursor, and then clicking the areas that you want to add of the selection. If you want to remove something, you press Control and it becomes a minus. So then when you click on it, it deselected the areas that you selected that has the similar pixel on it. So after that, we want to make sure that some of these white areas we don't want to include. I want as close as possible to only taking the trees, but not the rest. Okay. In between the poles and the lines there, take that as well. Okay. For now, I think it's all good. Now this part should not be selected. So usually I use a rectangle selection tools, and I want to take a straight box or straight rectangle across the part that I don't want, because it's a straight line right here and I'm not selecting that. So select that. Again, Control, so that I deselected those areas. Okay. And there you go. You have a selection of the blue sky. Now what I want to do is to separate these two items here, the bottom side and the upper side. What I usually do is I invert the selection by right-clicking on the area of selection and then select invert. Now instead of taking the top, now I'm actually selecting the rest of the area that wasn't selected previously. And then after doing that, I usually press Control X, so I'm taking that, and then Control V, so that now it becomes a new layer on the side here. And then press this new layer icon. Now you have two parts, which is the bottom and the top. And we want to lose the top here, delete them. Now you have only the bottom. I'm gonna rename this into bay. Okay, after that, it says we need to turn it into grayscale. So select the bottom here as selected already, and then color, and then you can choose the saturation, and then put the scale into 0. Now you have a black and white bottom parts of the bay. Next, step 3, replace the sky with the black to blue gradient. We don't want to replace this picture, so we want to make sure that it's on a new layer. Sky, I'm calling it the sky layer, and we want to make sure that the sky layer is actually behind the bay layer. Then select the fill tool by holding a click on it, and then you can select the other tool, which is called gradient. Now this one, by default, usually the color will be like this, black and then white. Yeah, you can always change the color or the way that the gradient works in this area right here, but basically we're not doing something fancy of an editing. So what we want is right now just to change the color palette from black to blue or dark blue. So that's the selection. Now when I put the gradient, it becomes that. We want to see, okay, the black takes up almost half of the sky, so I'm gonna start and end it. Is it? Oh, there's a clear separation, so you don't want to stretch it too much. The way that it works, that the more or the longer the click, the more smooth the gradient becomes. So in this case, there's a clear separation here in the middle, so I don't want to drag it too long, but I want to make sure that the black covers almost half of it. So I think that would be good enough. Yeah. Okay, so now we're done with the sky gradient. Now we can move on to the next one. They want to color this is so silly, but they want to color the sea and the sand using a blue layer with 40% opacity. So I'm not gonna choose, I'm gonna choose the Bay Area again, and let's see, let's use pen tool or path tool. Path is to create a customized area of selection. So we want to start from this side and then use the the path tool and make sure that we only select the sea here on the bottom, but not the hills, not the mountains, not the trees. So we want to make sure that we actually selected only the sea areas. Okay, I'm not gonna go into detailed selection of this. We're gonna remove we're not gonna include the boat here. Sorry, boat. So let's go around, because I think the sand is included, the sand and the sea, right? And after you are close enough with the first point of entry, so you can just press enter and it goes to the selection. Now that you have the selection, let's put another layer, because it says a blue layer here, a blue layer with 40% opacity. So I'm gonna do the fill bucket with foreground color, and then exchange this to the foreground, and then click on the bucket tool. So now we have the blue fill here, and I already set it to 40% opacity. So now we have that blue sand layer with the 40% opacity. Let's move on to moon. Use the moon JPG to add the moon to your image and recolor and position as shown. Okay, where's the folder? I'm gonna put the moon in, and I'm gonna select it using the fuzzy tool for this moon, and then make sure that it's invert, cut, paste, become a new layer, and then delete the background of the moon. Now I have I don't like the leftover black on the side there. Well, I'm gonna redo it. Let's go for a bigger threshold. So it's making sure that it's only taking the moon. Okay, that's good enough. Again, select, invert, Control X, Control V. It's like pasting and cutting, and then delete the background moon. Now I have only the moon. We do have to scale this. We don't want this moon, this too big of a moon on our Earth. So selection tools here, tools, transform, and then scale, and make it. Oh, sorry, I'm selecting the blue sand right now. Okay, it should be the moon. We should select the moon instead of the blue sand. Let me repeat that. Tools, transform, scale. Then we scale it down to the area or to the size that we want. Okay, the next step is to add a halo effect around the moon as shown. There's a light coming out behind the moon, so there's creating a halo effect. I'm gonna keep repeating this, that there's no one way on doing this, but it's a trick. So as long as you can get the or to achieve the final result as shown, I think it will be good enough. So I'm gonna rename first this layer called moon. What I'm imagining it from this question is that there's another layer that holds the radial blur, or sorry, radial gradient behind the moon. So to trick that is that I'm gonna create a new layer. It's gonna hold. Okay, I'm gonna name it hello. It's gonna hold a rectangle, an empty rectangle right here, and then use the gradient tool to create a radial gradient tool. So you can change the radial gradient by clicking on the shape, because the previous one we did the linear one, which is a straight gradient, and then you can have the radial one, which is gonna be a circle radial. So if I'm gonna show you, it's gonna look like this. Sorry, I haven't changed the color, so I'm gonna change the shade of the gradient. Left color type, I'm gonna go with foreground. Right color type, I'm gonna go with background, so it's black to white. And we can actually change the way that how the radiant goes. I'm gonna put it in the middle so it's smooth, but this is how the radial gonna be. Okay, so you can take from the inside to the outside. Oh, we're gonna switch this though. Let's switch this. Left color type would be background, right color type would be foreground. So we have a radial of white. So I'm gonna have a rectangle behind the moon. So then I'm gonna trick so that it's as if the moon has a radial halo behind it. So I'm gonna select the halo layer here, put a box behind it like so, right? Then select the gradient tool and then do that. So now I kind of have the radiant tool, the halo effect. I'm gonna fix that so that it's more neat, making sure that it doesn't pass the box here, so it doesn't feel like a cut off. Now I know there's a black lining here that goes beyond the skyline. Maybe it's my mistake because I didn't put the area of the blackness here bigger. It should be bigger maybe, but you can always repeat the sky area here. So I'm just gonna do that. I think it's faster that way. So the sky area, I deleted the thing earlier, and I'm gonna redo the gradient for that area, making sure that this goes back to the linear, and then change the color the left color type to be blue or dark blue, and then making sure that the black area is actually as big as the area of the radial by doing that. Okay, I think that should be enough, right? Now I have as if like the moon has a halo on it. The next thing, wait, I keep seeing this, it bugs me on the corner here. Okay, now that's done. The next one is add some stars to the sky, lights on the headland, and lights on the boat. Okay, it's just some white spots on it. So another layer, lights. So I'm not gonna mess up the rest of the pictures, yeah. But the star should be behind the moon if there is one. So I'm gonna make sure that it's behind the moon, but in front of the halo. So just use brush tool and create some white spots. Oh, too big. Let's resize this one. Now we have a believable star, right? I would say certain papers would be very detailed in terms of like how many stars should there be. But in this case, I'm just gonna go as close as much as possible to the example given. Okay, there's two more here, a bigger one here, two more on the side here. No, here. Okay, stars are finished. Now we need to add some headlamp. Let's make it 12. Then we'll put it on, okay, that area. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 5? Where's the final result? Okay, this is the final result. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Usually they will say like it needs to be separate nicely. I haven't seen the mark scheme yet, I promise you. There's lights on the boat as well. Okay, let's put lights on the boat. From the window. Oh, sorry, I haven't changed the tools yet. From the window. Oh, too big. Let's make it smaller. Not too small. Window. And then there's lights here. And then this one in the front, right? So now we have that. I don't like the ones from the boat, but like that should be good enough. Headland and lights on the boat already. Use moonlight PNG to add reflection on the moon and the sea. Your final image should look like this. Okay, there's another one that we should add, which is the moonlight. So we're gonna place it here. Fuzzy should work the best for this one. Delete the rest, and I should have what I want. It should be in the middle and much bigger. So we're gonna change this into a bigger scale, and there you go. I think that's the we should change the opacity or put it behind the blue sand. So that's done. Is it done? And save your image with this name. Okay, thanks for watching.